Marjorie Taylor Greene is brand new to Congress. She has no seniority. She just got there about a month ago.
Yep.
She has no important committee assignments. In fact, she has no committee assignments.
She's been stripped of her committees.
But in my opinion, she is probably the most powerful person on Capitol Hill right now in many ways. Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene, Republican of Georgia, welcome back to Newsmax. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you, Greg. I'm glad to be on your show tonight.
Thanks so much. Listen, folks have heard your name a million times, but I don't think a lot of them know the first thing about you. So I'd like to actually start with, if you could please, tell us what happened to you in the 11th grade.
In the 11th grade at South Forsyth High School, when I was 16 years old, that was the year that Joe Biden passed the gun-free school zones. It used to be that kids used to drive to school. They might have their hunting rifle in the back of their truck. Principals kept a gun in their office. Coaches might keep a gun in their office. Kids were protected at school. But Joe Biden passed gun-free school zones, and we were, for the first time, unprotected. One of my very upset schoolmates brought 3 guns to school in a duffel bag, carried them on the school bus, brought them into his first period class, pulled out 1 gun, and went to take over the classroom. The coach in the classroom knocked him to the floor, knocking away his weapon, but he was able to reach into his bag, retrieving a second gun, fired the weapon, and proceeded to take over the classroom, and our entire school went on lockdown. At 16 years old, I found out very quickly what it's like to be completely innocent, completely terrified, and there was no good guy with a gun. There was no one there but our very upset schoolmate that came to school to kill other students that day. That's a fear that I don't want any child to ever have. That's a fear that my own children have had, going to school over the years in gun-free school zones. We protect our members of Congress with a big border wall and 30,000 National Guardsmen. We need to protect our kids at school the exact same way.
Just about everywhere you go, you cite the number 62 million. 62 million. Can you tell us, please, what the significance of that number is?
Yes. 62 million are the people that should be living their lives today, just like we are. But
she's going to talk about abortion. So here's the deal with the school non-shooting that she was in. A student held 2 classrooms hostage. She was in neither of those 2 classrooms. There's no verification that she was at school that day, but the incident did happen back in 1990 when she was in the 11th grade at Forsyth County High School. The rest of the students were not on lockdown for 6 hours. The rest of the students were evacuated and sent home on buses. So she did not spend 6 hours under lockdown there. That's a lie.
That people had signed, risking themselves, perjuring themselves with their signatures. And we were going through the objection with Arizona. When people attacked the Capitol, we were trapped inside. We were put on lockdown, and I made a video and put it out on my social media asking people to stop and not to do anything like this, that they should be having a peaceful protest just like President Trump asked them to do. It was terrifying. It was just like that day when I was in 11th grade, one of the scariest days of my life. And I'm so grateful to our Capitol Police and everyone that came in and risked their lives to protect us.
You know, a lot of us were frustrated, by the way, for many reasons, with the more than frustrated, outraged by the riots. But one of the things that it did, it shut down what a lot of us wanted to see happen, those objections raised and debated in Congress. You wrapped up a press conference the other day in an interesting way. By the way, I want to emphasize you took plenty of questions from the media, answered all their questions, essentially.
No,
you
she
wrapped
did
things
not.
up this way. I thought it was very
powerful. She did
powerful.
not answer all the questions.
I have said it. You know, here's the thing. When you want to keep telling the same story over and over, but you don't want to tell the truth, that's your problem. And that's how we end press conferences.
That's her answering all the questions, with everyone trailing after her shouting questions. That's how you answer all the questions.
It's powerful for a lot of reasons. One of them, about 50 reporters are following you. You mentioned you're going to have some time on your hands right now because you don't have committee assignments. How do you intend, and by the way, I think this could
that was not 50 reporters.
Spend that time. How will your future be different now that for the time being, you're not going to have significant or any committee assignments?
Well, I got to tell you something, Greg. I'm someone that has worked hard my entire life. I've created businesses, and I've made one business very successful over the past 20 years. You never want to give someone like me free time with a lot of time on my hands to do the work that I think needs to be done. So I'll be spending all of my free time that would have been wasted on committees, because here's the real truth. Republicans have no voice. They have no say. They have no power on these committees.
Republicans have no power.
So going forward, I will be working very hard to shape the Republican Party, push this party to the right, and hold them accountable. I'll also be communicating with a lot of great patriots all over the country, and I'm very excited to get to work on that.
So I mentioned earlier that everybody has heard your name a lot. Very few people know specifics, and we've been told things about you. So I'd actually like to ask you two questions. I am genuinely curious of the answer. The other day on the on the floor of the House, you said that 9/11 happened. We agree that 9/11 happened. Do you believe the government, as I do, that Al-Qaeda was responsible, that the attack was planned by Osama bin Laden and Khalid Sheikh Mohammed and was executed by 19 hijackers?
Absolutely. Everyone knows that. It's radical Islam. Those people you just named are responsible for the attack on 9/11. Radical Islam is still a threat today, and it's something that America needs to take very seriously.
The other thing, because this was not brought up on the House floor, and forgive me, but there was the horrible school shooting about 90 minutes outside of New York City, Sandy Hook, back in 2012. 27, mostly children, were killed. Do you believe, as I do, that law enforcement, when they told us, they were telling the truth, that Adam Lanza, a very troubled 20-year-old young man, was solely responsible for the violence that day?
Of course he is. Sandy Hook is another one of the school shootings that should have never happened. And if children were protected at school the same way members of Congress make sure they're protected with good guys with guns, then no child would ever be shot and killed in school. And then I'll go a step further. I think it's wrong that these parents are brought out and paraded across the media and used for political gain like they have against me, unfortunately. I think it's...
the parents are doing this of their own volition.
And there's the heartbreak that they had. They have to go through it again. When
the parents are choosing to do this for themselves so that we don't have school shootings anymore. 420, blaze on.
Really, we should be taking care of these parents, and we should be legislating and making sure that we're protecting children at school.
Why did you go into politics in the first place? What drove you? What was your inspiration, if you will?
The reason why I got involved and decided to run for Congress is I figured out very quickly that no matter how many times I posted on Facebook and complained about things and asked questions about interesting information that I had looked up, nothing would change. And after watching our politicians fail us for decades to the point where we're now nearing $30 trillion in debt, our borders are wide open, our young men and women may be again sent off to foreign wars, our education system is failing and now training our children in woke education policies. Biological males are now entering our girls' sports, and we're still killing babies in the womb and now denying gender that God created us male and female.
At schools?
Tired of it, and I realize nothing will ever change. These people with their campaign promises will just continue to run for office again the next cycle. I'm a very regular American. I talk like a regular person. I've lived a wonderful, normal American life, and I decided that if people like me don't get involved and get in there and do the hard work to make sure that our country is protected, our freedoms are protected, and that our children's futures are protected, then we're going to lose the country that we love, and we are losing it right now. And nothing is going to change that unless more people like me get very serious about running for Congress. And I know there are many of you out there that are probably smarter than I am, more experienced than I am, and I would love to see you join me.
You said one thing, you said it twice actually, on the floor of the House and also outside the Capitol, something about people of faith who are lukewarm lukewarm. Can you tell us a little bit more about what you meant?
Yes, of course. I'm very grateful for the opportunity to talk about my faith. I'm a big believer in Jesus. God gave us his one and only son who died on a cross so that our sins can be forgiven. And because of that, that is a sacrifice none of us are deserving of. And that's why we should never be lukewarm about our faith. You see, if the church in this country was doing the real work, there wouldn't be hungry people on the streets. There wouldn't be babies aborted in the womb, and then every foster child or orphan would have a home. And then more than that, we wouldn't be having people representing us in Congress that decade after decade, they cling to power, but do nothing but destroy our country. It's time for the church to wake up and stop just thinking that their job is to just go to church 1 hour a day, but it's actually to step up and boldly declare your faith, share the gospel, and then truly live it and be the hands and feet of Jesus.
So separation,
I'm
church,
sorry.
state.
I have to fact check you. I caught you in a doozy.
Oh, yeah.
You said a little while ago that you're just a regular person, and I just don't think that's the case. You're absolutely extraordinary. And
judges?
Very impressive to
it's not a fact check.
You, what you're doing. And I wish you luck and I wish you safety. Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene, many thanks.
Thank you, Greg.
All right. All the best.
All right.
We'll be right back.
Okay. Okay, so here's what happened. And this is an actual article written that day while the high school was still being held by a gunman. This is Cumming, Georgia. This is South Forsyth High School, September 6, 1990. A 17-year-old school student armed with a shotgun and pistol seized hostages at South Forsyth Middle School Thursday, demanding that authorities provide him with candy, coke, and transportation, officials said. The suspect, identified by school officials as Randy Addis, took over a classroom at 8:25 a.m., a Forsyth County Sheriff dispatcher said. Addis eventually freed all but 5 boys and 1 girl. And the 1 girl stayed of her own accord. And it sounds like the kids from the article here, they didn't believe that he was actually going to shoot anybody, but this was before sort of America had school shootings on a regular basis. This is back in 1990. Now, I don't remember if she just said it here, and I can't rewind, so maybe you guys can help me out, or if she said it in the interview the other day where she had her press conference. She has claimed that she was on lockdown in the school for 6 hours. This is an article written during the school day. Students milled around in a parking lot at the opposite end of the school from where milled around, which is weird. So different in 1990. Wow. Students milled around a parking lot at the opposite end of the school from where the hostages were while waiting for their parents to pick them up. Shadburn, with the school official, said all students had been cleared from the school except for Addis and the 6 hostages. Marjorie Taylor Greene was not amongst the 6 hostages. She was not on lockdown for 6 hours. She's just making that up. Terrible incident, obviously harrowing for everyone involved. 1 girl apparently volunteered to stay as a hostage. All the other students cleared out, but Marjorie Taylor Greene went through it. She went through it. And then, of course, pestered and stalked David Hogg. Am I endorsing school shootings? No, I am not. Well, the judges actually agree with me on something. Hey, thank you very much for the super hearts. Whoever sent those, was that Kim? I cannot see now because it's just above my... Yeah, it is. Kimchi, thank you very much for the super hearts. Okay, quick broadcast today. I just wanted to share that interview with you guys. So there you go. There's Marjorie Taylor Greene making stuff up. And there are the facts. This is from a UPI article from the day. And you can find this on in the web if you do a little bit of searching around. The Atlanta Journal-Constitution also has an article from that day with similar results. But this is an article written over the UPI, which is like the AP, from that day, during that day. And at this point, when the article was written, the hostage situation wasn't even over, and Marjorie Taylor Greene, if she attended school that day, because it hasn't been established by a spokesperson for the school district, they don't know if she was there or not. If she was there, she had already been evacuated. This is during the school day. They did mention that several parents were unable to find their students among the crowd, and the parents collapsed from heat exhaustion in the 90-degree weather. So perhaps one of her parents collapsed from heat exhaustion. In which case, harrowing. I can understand how she would want to prevent global warming. But the best part of the interview was that she said that Republicans are basically powerless in the House. And that's absolutely true. Why? Because elections have consequences. Stephanie B says, thanks for doing this, Kevin. Looking forward to tomorrow for more than one reason. I also get to see my daughter for the first time in a year. Woo! I've been seeing, I got to say, too much of your daughter recently. She will not leave. Dr. House says, KevinlyFather, Jumchi sent you a super heart. I saw that already, and it was kimchi. It wasn't Jumchi. Unless you guys see him as Jumchi, I don't even know. But thank you very much for letting me know. If you'd like to contribute to the broadcast, you can't do Super Chat anymore. Why? Because YouTube has demonetized me. Because I am harmful. And I need to spend 30 days thinking about that. So I'm in the penalty box for now. If you'd like to send me money, do it at PayPal. Or do it at Venmo.